hopefully I am not flipped upside down the other way. Anyhow, we are going live today, and I am a nutritionist, exercise physiologist, women's wellness coach specializing in women's health, women over 40 specifically. And if you're not already subscribed to this channel, I am providing weekly videos at this point for everything you can think of in terms of nutrition support, exercise, workouts from home, as well as just all things wellness, hormones, gut health, blood sugar, you name it. Okay, so today I am going to try to be as efficient as possible. And you can't see everything now, but I will show you one by one. I'm gonna walk you through what I do have in my refrigerator. And for anyone watching on the live, drop some love in the comments. If you're watching on the replay, love hearing your feedback. Anything you would like to see in the future, please let me know, and make sure to subscribe and set notifications. We will be having live workouts every Saturday. And if we don't do it on Saturday, it's either gonna be on Friday or Sunday. So anyhow, okay, I want to start off before I dive into all the specifics of what I do, the backstory, okay, in a very expedited manner, because you can stumble across someone's page and maybe you really like their body and you're about their size, or they have your goal body and you want to mimic everything that they are doing. And that's exactly why I don't typically share what I eat in a day, what my macros are, what my calories are. Quite frankly, I do not even know what my macros and my calories are because I don't track them. But there is a time and a place for that. So if you are new to the world of wellness or you're restarting again, I think there is a lot of power in tracking initially for the first couple weeks to just know where you're at. And then, as I've said before, I work with women and we get you away from all the obsession over the numbers. It really is a deeper issue. If your fat loss journey is such an uphill battle, it's not as simple as adjusting your macros and calories. And that's just the long and the short of it. So when we're looking at the meal plan, I think it's really important to also mention I've made some adjustments as I have gotten a little older, and one of which is fasting. I do not follow a 16-8 method. I do not follow anything really outside of trying to get about 10 to 12 hours of a fast from dinner to when I break my fast, okay? Now, some days I'm closer to 9 because it was a really late night and I ate late, and then I woke up at 5 a.m. and I really want to eat. So I'm going to dive into what I typically eat when I wake up, because it's usually 5 a.m. I don't want to make anything. I want something high protein. I want something that's low glycemic and something that has very clean ingredients, gut friendly. So if you are not familiar with the Small Seed Bar, they are incredible, a family-owned business, and they have the cleanest vegan bar I have ever seen, hands down, and that's why I keep it in the refrigerator. Everything today is going to be what I have in my refrigerator, and then we'll do a separate one for my pantry and another for my freezer, okay? Small Seed Bar, I'm going to try to link as many things down below as I can, and unfortunately I don't have a discount code for those, but they do have sales all the time. Now, in the morning, I have my coffee. Yes, my friends, it is great value from good old Walmart, okay? Your girl here has tried all the things. I hate Starbucks. I hate Dunkin'. I hate Baskin Robbins. I hate all the different actual types of coffee, okay? What I do love is my great value. So I travel with it, I go everywhere with it, and if I have a meeting at a coffee shop, you better believe I am not going to be getting the coffee because I've already had it at my house, and that strikes my fancy much more than anything else. So what do I put in my coffee? I put nut pods, okay? Now, many will frown upon it. They're gonna say, oh, well, there's inflammatory ingredients. This is probably one of the very few places that I do have inflammatory ingredients, because it's a splash and it makes me happy. And if any of you are omitting something that thoroughly brings you joy, especially if it's first thing in the morning, I am telling you what, my friends, if it's wrecking your day, it's wrecking your vibe, you're not getting that just fulfillment in the morning, you're not going to last very long. So you better figure out how you can manipulate your programming, your nutritional planning to allow you to feel good about what you're doing. Because if you don't feel good about what you're doing, it's not going to last very long. Okay, so just to show you here, because I pulled these out, Small Seed also has what they call their scraps. And so basically it's like the ends that didn't make it as a full bar. So this is a really good thing to have. Now, I do not suggest it if you are someone who cannot control yourself and you like to pick all throughout the day. Stick with the bars. They're individually packaged. You're going to be safe there. But that's how I start my day. And I also use the Dr. Gundry's brand of allulose. So this is the only allulose powder I have personally found to date to taste really good, tastes like sugar, no lingering aftertaste. If you're still using stevia, I use stevia in my protein powder, which I'll show you in a different video, but that over-consumed with stevia is going to probably give you some kind of gut issue, as small or as big as it may be, depending on what else you have going on. But studies do show stevia is linked with gut dysbiosis, etc. So allulose is really gut friendly, and Dr. Gundry's is lectin free and very, very clean. Okay, so now moving into my post-workout and all of that, I do sip on essential amino acids. I have some other things, and that'll be in a separate video I'll share. But for my lunch, I do a big salad pretty much every single day. And yes, diversity is key, but also doing what you love and being able to adjust that is key. Now, so I get the sweet kale mix from Costco. I switch up the types of lettuce I get. I also get a big thing of the greens, and then I throw that in there. I also have here my alfalfa, broccoli, and kale. This is really good to add into your salads or on whatever you want. Really good for liver detox for us ladies. So really helpful for estrogen metabolism and whatnot. Okay, and then what I do too, again, I just pulled a whole bunch of things out of my refrigerator because you never know what's going to be helpful to you all. So when I get back from Costco, I get the multicolored bell peppers. And so I usually dice up a ton. I'll keep some long and I'll dice up some smaller. And the long ones are for my daughter. She likes to snack on them. And then if I'm making enchiladas or any tacos, I usually do the diced up peppers. And so let's just kind of switch gears. If I am doing the enchiladas, then I use the Siete brand. If you have not come across this brand yet, they have incredible tortilla chips, very clean and no inflammatory ingredients. Their enchilada sauce is really good. I use their taco seasoning. I also use their tortillas. They have a cassava flour and the almond flour. I love the almond flour. But when we're talking about glycemic index, because if you are not new to this channel, you know I always go back to what is blood sugar friendly, what is going to be very balanced with the macros to help us maintain healthy blood sugar. And typically, when you're looking at healthier tortilla brands, usually they're going to be minimal ingredients, but a little higher glycemic. And so that is the case with the Siete wraps. They're not high glycemic, but they're not low. So, we only have 2 grams of fiber, 17 total carbs. So we only have 15 net impact carbs, but only 5 grams of protein. And you do have a good significant amount of fat coming from the almonds at 11 grams, but still it's slightly higher glycemic than, let's say, these 2 brands that are good in their own ways. Okay, so this brand is probably the least in terms of cleanliness, if we're looking at ingredients, because it has gluten. It's very low glycemic. However, it does have a laundry list of ingredients, one of which is wheat protein, and there is whole wheat. They do have avocado oil instead of inflammatory oil in this, so that's a bump in the right direction from what they used to use. But ultimately, a lot of people just can't do gluten. And I think most people can do gluten in moderation, but a lot of people try to avoid it at all costs. So in my opinion, in my household, I do very minimal gluten, but if I do it, it's typically gonna be in this form or in the form of sourdough. Sourdough is fermented, the fermentation process, our body digests the gluten a bit different. And it's kind of the same when you're going to Europe and you're eating their pasta and their bread and all of that, and you don't have an upset belly even though you had gluten. It's the other ingredients that you're having everything with, okay? It's not just the gluten as is. Now, I will tell you, when I do wraps, this is by far my absolute favorite. I'm blocking the name, Bee Free. And I know this might be flipped, but you can get these from Costco, and there's, I mean, a good amount in each one, 12 wraps in each one. And it's low glycemic and gluten-free. And I believe the only bad thing about it is that it has sunflower oil. So again, when we're talking wraps, it's very, very difficult to find something with everything you're looking for: low glycemic, gluten-free, and high fiber, high protein, tastes good. You got to kind of bend in some way. So as you see, they're all great in a lot of ways, and then some of them have their, they all have their downsides too. But when I am doing my tacos, a taco night or enchilada night, 1 to 2 times per week, because it's a fast meal. I myself don't do the meat. I eat probably about 90% plant-based, and then I do chicken very occasionally. I do salmon a lot, and I do eggs pretty, a couple times a week. I'll do eggs, and then I will do grass-fed butter. But those are my main animal products, to be honest with you. I just do not feel my best. I don't enjoy it. So when at Costco, I get a 6-pack of the tofu. If you're getting organic, non-GMO tofu, my friends, in the form of tofu, tempeh, miso, edamame, that is not going to be disruptive hormonally. And I know everyone's telling you different things about all the things. If you don't have any special conditions, and even for my women I work with who did have breast cancer, it's something to where if you're putting in good quality soy and you're not doing it in an overabundance, it's going to be helpful, okay? So, depending on which doctor you talk to, I've heard some crazy things, and I think it's just easier for some of these doctors to say, avoid soy, because they don't want to get into this place of being blamed for something going bad if someone's eating soy that's shoved into cereals, into sauces, into protein bars that are genetically modified. Because those things, I don't consume soy when it's in a bar, when it's in a cereal, when it's in a drink, when it's in any of those forms, because typically it's going to be genetically modified, okay? Now, what I do absolutely love is tempeh. If you've not seen tempeh, it looks kind of weird, but this is what you should get, is just the original. Don't get things that are sauced already. I know that we're all very busy, but it takes 2 seconds to dump in your own sauce. So when you're buying things already marinated, that is where all the inflammatory ingredients are packed, is in that sauce. Whatever oils they're using, I'm telling you what, is probably not olive oil. So they're gonna do anything that's cheap that can taste really good for an affordable, price. So the tempeh, if you've not ever cooked with tempeh, I would definitely suggest boiling it first. I literally just break it in half, put it into boiling water, let it boil for 10 minutes, drain the water, and then make your meal. Okay, so I don't have it out here, but also what I get from Costco, my favorite salsa. So one of my favorite meals is literally taking the tempeh after I've boiled it and drained it, dump in some salsa, dump in some nutritional yeast. This is every vegan's absolute favorite. It gives like a cheesier, just a fuller taste. And it has 5 grams of protein for 2 tablespoons. So I usually dump in like 1/4 cup, if not more. So add like 10 more grams of protein to this. Salsa If you're wanting to do enchiladas, add in some enchilada sauce, some taco seasoning. I have a squirter too, olive oil in there, and just cook it up for another 5 minutes. And then you can dice up whatever veggies you want and kind of do it fajita style. You can do it enchilada style. I use these tortillas to do a little enchilada. Now, if I'm doing cheese, again, I don't do like the real cheese. I just don't feel my body thrives off of that. I don't like it so much. So what I do find are some really good dairy-free brands. Now, I'm not saying that if you're doing dairy-free cheese every single day, multiple times a day, compared to having the real deal, I'm not saying one is better than the other. I'm just saying most people have an inflammatory response to too much dairy. So where you can remove dairy, I find for most of my clients, and myself included, is going to be very helpful, especially if you're not moving every day, if you're not having daily bowel movements. I mean, a lot of people, once they remove a lot of dairy, it starts flowing. They start going, okay? So I like this True Goodness for the Mexican style. I've seen a few other good brands. My daughter absolutely loves grilled cheese on sourdough, and she does not like real smoked Gouda. She likes the Follow Your Heart brand. And so she loves it. It's amazing. I love it too. On occasion, again, I have dairy-free cheese probably like once a week. I used to have it every day, and I knew that that was not good. But Follow Your Heart has a Parmesan cheese that's incredible too. Again, in moderation, all right? Now, to go back to my salad every day changes. I put roasted edamame, which I'm not gonna pull out because that's for the other video. And I do sometimes pistachios. I switch up the nuts, the seeds, depending on where I'm at in my cycle. I teach clients how to cycle or seed cycle, depending on where they're at in their cycle, if they are cycling. How many times can I say the word cycle? But I do pumpkin seeds. I'll throw in flax seeds. I'll do sunflower seeds. So a lot of different variation there. And again, you can add different elements into your salad to help liver detox with those cruciferous veggies is really key. And then I usually do either a protein pudding or leftovers from the night before for my main source of protein and fat. And I am not a huge fruit person, so you're not gonna see me laying out this beautiful array of fruit. It's just not what I enjoy. And sometimes I'll do berries. Berries are really good for you. So don't think because I'm not showing you that's not what I eat, you can't eat it. And again, it goes back to it's all relative. So the only thing I would say about a lot of people who do have issues losing weight, if they did a calorie restricting or they were in a calorie deficit initially, and then they started dropping weight, at some point, if they're not focused on blood sugar regulation, gut health, hormones, and they're just eating in a calorie deficit and they're eating a ton of fruit and they're eating a lot of low-cal foods like pretzels and rice cakes and popcorn and things like that, first of all, they're gonna feel like they're eating all day long because they're probably never satisfied because they're not eating enough healthy fat, because fat is calorically dense is what I find. A lot of people just are low on fat, low on protein because they're just trying to eat in a deficit. So that will work initially, but eventually your weight loss will stall. And typically, unfortunately for a lot of people, their insulin levels are not in a healthy place. Once the fat loss stalls, then they realize, oh shit, now I'm pre-diabetic because I was just eating all these, I was eating things that were like low cal and maybe tons of sugar, but they were like fat-free and the whole thing. So just be careful. If you're eating fruit, eat it along with a meal, in my opinion. Not to say you can't snack on an apple or some berries on, just as is from time to time, but if you can eat it as part of a meal, it's gonna be that much better for you. So now, another thing that I wanna say, in the mornings, we do a lot in this house. I have made, which I'll pull them out for you to see. I make them every week on rotation. I'll put the recipe in the caption. My daughter does not like the everything but the bagel seasoning, and myself and my boyfriend do, but they're basically high protein, lower carb, biscuits. You can make them in the bagel form, you can make them flat, you can make them like mine, so you can cut it in half, you can toast them, but they literally they're made up of cottage cheese, almond flour, and gluten-free flour, and some baking soda. And that's it. You mix it in a bowl, no blender required. You want it to be chunky, and you put them into mounds on a baking sheet, bake for probably 30 minutes on 375. Friends, let me tell you, tonight I'm doing breakfast for dinner, and I cannot wait to have this. I make some eggs. I do avocado toast with it first. And my avocado toast, I do the nutritional yeast I was telling you about. And for you guys hopping on, welcome. I don't come on here live very often, but you're gonna wanna come back to the replay because I go through all the things in my refrigerator. But I love hot sauce, so if you do, this brand is pretty good, but it's not gonna be as high quality as the Primal Kitchen. Now, if you are trying to stay clean with everything, Primal Kitchen and Siete brands are where it is at. They have so many great options. Primal Kitchen has a avocado oil based mayo. My boyfriend is all about the BLTs lately, and so he needs to watch his cholesterol, so we're doing our best here to make some healthy switches. But my avocado toast, if you've not ever done it, avocado smashed with nutritional yeast, and the smoky barbecue is absolutely fantastic. I mean, it is so good. So I mash that together, and then I put everything but the bagel seasoning on it, and then I drizzle with the hot sauce. I put my egg on top, toast the biscuit, if you will, and it is a super high protein, lower glycemic meal that you are gonna wanna eat on repeat. Okay, moving along, because we don't have a ton of time. I do not eat deli meat very often at all, but my daughter likes it. I like to make her little homemade Lunchables that are healthier, and I'm not gonna lie, sometimes it's just nice to roll up some turkey, and this one's my favorite, the Applewood smoked turkey breast, and just go for it. Now, anything smoked flavor is going to be slightly inflammatory, but again, I like to share things like this because I'm a real person. I am able to maintain, I've been pretty much the same body for 24 years, and the reason is because I show you stuff like this. It's because I eat balanced meals. I eat what I want to eat, but I find ways of fulfilling my cravings with healthier options. And that's why I'm able to not feel deprived, so I can just keep plugging along and stay consistent as I go along. Now, the type of butter I use, I don't use vegan butter, even though I am vegan. The better option is grass-fed butter. And when I'm using any kind of, like when I make tons of sweet treats, friends, if you have not seen yet on this platform, because if you don't follow me on Instagram, you probably don't know, but I create weekly sweet treats. And so you may have seen some of my reels here in the shorts section, but I'll put a link down below so you can see all of those. But a lot of times I use a maple flavored allulose syrup. This is the brand, the Simple Truth brand is the one I absolutely love. You can buy it online, but it's keto friendly, doesn't disrupt and upset your belly. So that, in my opinion, is gonna be a really good one. And then I just pulled this out because, again, I'm a spice lover. So Sambal Olek, I know I'm probably butchering that, but it is a fresh chili paste. I have to buy it on Amazon at this point. I can't buy it in the groceries. I don't know why. But when I'm making Asian food, I do a sauce that's low sodium soy sauce. Sometimes I add a little bit of this maple flavored allulose syrup. I do the chili paste. I do some ginger. I do some garlic. And then I use more of this allulose. And that's like a homemade teriyaki Szechuan, if you will. And I love it. Like I make it over my salmon. I cook salmon in it. My vegetables, it's my daughter and my boyfriend and I's favorite meal. It's just salmon over veggies, and I saute everything in that sauce, and it's so delightful. But also I do a little bit of the dairy free. So Faye has better, or it's called Best Self lactose free. If you love yogurt, but your belly doesn't love it, I assure you, if you get this best self, you are gonna feel so good. And I used to not be able to do it at all. And then I found this and I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna try. Now, I don't do a full serving. I do probably like a fourth a cup mixed in with other things, but it's fantastic. Now I do a lot of almond milk and I use the Ninja Creamy in the evening to make homemade ice cream, but I also use a little bit of this Fairlife just to make it creamier. And basically it's a protein shake as ice cream. But if you've made it before in between, you know that you need to put a little bit more milk in there. So this is the brand that I use. And I think I have to be wrapping up here soon, but I'm just gonna end with the fact that also in my refrigerator, I always have my healthy sweet treats. So if you didn't see my post from the other day, these are brownie truffles and high protein, low glycemic, of course. This is my sweet potato high protein cookie dough, high protein, low glycemic, of course. So if you want these recipes, if you want information about anything I mentioned, let me know. I am going to wrap up this video. I'm trying to see if there's nothing else I shared. Avocado, I buy them by the bushel because I go through them quite a lot. Costco, again, I get my almond milk from Costco. I think I shared everything I can think of in my fridge that I really wanted to hit on. So thank you guys for tuning in. Again, if you're not already subscribed, please do so, and we will talk